And good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to another edition of Talking Sports. I'm Sergeant Rock alongside Joe Stovall.
Good evening.
Lurking back there in the back, Michael Cox.
That's Little Richard.
Yeah, he heard something today,
He's the originator.
so he decided to come by.
Shut up.
Get some FaceTime.
Right.
I got to tell Joe he didn't want to respond to the comments.
Okay, here's what we're going to be talking about today. Can the Illini basketball team, can they recover after a loss to Indiana, Joe?
No.
They can't.
No.
Iowa rolls into town Saturday. We all know what's going to happen there.
They're going to roll out.
Yep. There was a hitting going on during the Pro Bowl.
How do you hit your own teammate?
I don't know, but I enjoyed the game.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, after I saw Beyonce start the Grammys, I was like, okay, it's back to football. Yeah, I'm drunk in love.
No, she was just drunk.
Yeah, I think so, man. She didn't look too bad. All right, sex sells. And, of course, it's selling in New York. You know, they got the Super Bowl rolling into town next week, and wherever there's a Super Bowl, there's the ladies of the evening.
Is that why the game played at night?
Shoot, man. You know, I'm going to tell you how it all got started. It got started back in 2004 in Greece, because that's when Greece, you know.
The Olympics?
Yeah, you know, and their prostitution is legal.
It is?
In Greece. And
How do you know that?
you know, I read up, man. I've been in the lab today, Joe.
Oh,
I've been
okay.
in the lab today.
Thought you were in Greece.
So they got to
Getting greasy.
the authorities got to fussing over there. We'll talk about that a little later. But we got that coming up. Of course, you know, Super Bowl is Sunday. We'll talk Super Bowl. And did a heroin kingpin help Russia win the Olympics? The Sochi. We got all that and more coming up on this edition of Talking Sports. You be sure to stay tuned.
Welcome back. Talking Sports, WBCP 1580. Today's a special day. That thing right there, it's a camera. Now, that's not a convenience store camera because you're accustomed to them, right?
Yeah.
They usually measure your height, your weight. And
They're up in the corner.
there you go.
Yeah.
And so whenever you put that extra bag of Skittles in your pocket. But today we are proud to be back on UPTV. Jason Liggett is in the house.
Jason.
You know, we've had a long-standing relationship. I might want to rephrase that because you might take it the wrong way.
I know how your relationships go.
They usually end bad. And that's what happened. For years, Jason took care of us over at UPTV when we used to do the show on Friday nights
Tell it
over
like
there.
it is.
And it started because of what? Talking sports. And now Jason is back today to put our...
Hold on.
What?
You mean tell it like it is?
Is the birth child
Of Talking
of
Sports?
talking sports.
I have a
labor.
kid.
You have a child.
Where is he now?
Eh, he's in rehab.
There's somebody out there looking for you. So.
Talking sports, tell it like it is now Bieber.
Oh, okay.
Is being deported. But I want to thank Jason for bringing us back on and getting us, like I said, back to UPTV. You know, and I'm glad you shaved. You look good.
I told you I didn't want to look like Deion Sanders on doing the Pro Bowl last Sunday.
And I told you who you really would have looked like.
Yeah, I know it, Grady.
From Sanford and Son. But like I said, and the originator,
Yes.
the original guy from WBCP who started the sports programming here back in the early 40s.
Yeah.
50s.
50 years
Right.
ago, Michael Cox, you know. But you know, he's been sitting in with us from time to time.
Yep.
You know, throughout last year and this year. You know, he Facebooked me earlier. Can I come?
Is that how you said it?
Yeah, I didn't
pretty much.
even answer. I didn't even answer because I know he's gonna show
up
anyway.
right. He just did that to be polite. But
Yeah, exactly.
I'm coming.
Come on, man. Scoot on up. You don't have to.
And
You
you
don't
know,
have to.
Joe is so prompt all the time, so
So you just thought you'd come down and fill his chair in.
just in case.
Just in
I
case.
was on time today.
That's good looking out.
Today. I think if I'm on time like one day, shouldn't I get a raise or something?
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
We'll double whatever we pay you now.
No, we're gonna raise his chair a little higher. That's
There you go.
Is that what you're going to do?
that's what we're gonna do.
Well, raising a chair, raising the salaries, but raising the roof is not happening over at the Assembly Hall.
State Farm Center.
Thank you for the correction.
You all
Now,
right?
how could I say that?
I don't know.
Exactly. You're
Out of
right,
all the people.
I don't know.
Well, that just shows you.
He
know.
chewed me out for saying it last week.
That's true. But the State Farm Center, Fighting Illini basketball, they've lost 6 in a row.
6.
6 in a row.
About to be 7.
And Iowa comes to town. The Hawkeyes are playing a lot better basketball than what they've played in the past. They're one of the, I guess you would say, upper echelon teams in the conference.
I wouldn't say all that. They playing good basketball
They're
and
in the
they're
top.
winning.
They're in the top half. That's thank you, Mike, for once again being on my side. But Illinois has lost 6. They're tied for last.
What like 0-5 in the Big Ten, something like
2
that.
and 6.
In the Big Ten? Oh, okay.
Remember,
That's right. They did win too.
remember 2013? It's just like yesterday. They got their first victory in the Big Ten on New Year's Eve. They beat Indiana.
And they
Came
won.
back a few days later, beat Penn State. And then 2014 said, wait a minute, just like the weather, we're going to put a wind chill on you.
Can they recover from this, Joe? I want to ask you this right now. Or should they just go ahead and write this season off, let the freshmen play, and get in some game time, because the future doesn't look too bright for this ball team.
Well, this year, I think here was the issue with this year's team. It was the unknown. You did not know what you had when the season started. You had 2 transfers in Ravonte Rice and John Eakey. You had 3 returning players in terms of Joseph Bertrand, Nana Egwu, and Tracy Abrams. And the question was, what would the chemistry be like with this group? Your bench was entirely made up of freshmen, all freshmen.
So when I used to use the phrase young, you used to look at me like I was crazy.
Yeah, because it's not a young team. That's what you used to say. The starting lineup is a veteran lineup. The issue with the starting lineup was chemistry. The issue with the bench was youth.